Okay, so we're here for the inaugural episode of the Recreatus podcast. I'm Dr. Jesse Rouse.
Sari Porter.
Hello, my name is Caleb Merkel.
And so this initial episode 0 is to just kind of set up what we're going to be doing, right, for a few minutes. And the podcast is new. It is supported by the National Center for Preservation Technology and Training, which is part of the National Park Service. So we like to thank them for funding the podcast for this year. And it's about virtual heritage. But we're going to start with the conversation about digital heritage. And so we're going to turn it over to Sari to give her definition of digital heritage. So she's in the digital heritage class right now.
So digital heritage is a broad subject. It's essentially using digital means to better conserve and preserve our history and our culture. This can be done in a variety of ways. You can use virtual reality. You can digitize ancient documents like manuscripts. You can use GIS technologies to find archaeological sites and digs, and you can recreate art and artifacts and so on and so forth. It's a very broad field.
Very broad. So that's kind of why we're focusing more on the virtual for the podcast for the most part. But again, to have the context, we talk about virtual heritage. The podcast we'll be talking about generally digital heritage as well, which virtual heritage is part of. But you also have the fact that all of this is part of cultural heritage. And so there we're talking about this, any kind of material culture aspect, any kind of cultural knowledge aspect. There's so much from, straight anthropology through to museum studies and physical materials to excavations through to scanning things that are out in the fields. There's so much that we can talk about in terms of what cultural heritage is, which is too much to try to do in just a 1-year podcast. So that's why we're focusing a lot. So what is an example that you think of whenever you think of digital heritage? Caleb.
Thank you for asking. I'd like to use a very timely example, which is the Digital Shikoku project.
Okay.
That you and Dr. Bergeron
Dr. Green.
And Dr. Green have been working on. I use this because it's very realistic to what we're doing right now. And I like this example because I'm also very connected to the project. I love Asian culture, especially Japanese culture, and I love Japanese history in particular. And seeing the digitization and the valuable information that has been permanently made into a museum of sorts has been really interesting to see.
So to kind of give context, we're going through, there's a pilgrimage, the Henro pilgrimage, Buddhist pilgrimage, going around the island of Shikoku in Japan, and it's going through creating digital reconstructions of the temples and then creating a representation of the route between the temples. It's a 1,200-kilometer circumnavigation of the island. It's something that people have been doing for almost 1,200 years, or maybe more than 1,200 years. So yeah, it's this attempt to recreate something that has a very long, but also very modern perspective on it. So that's one example of digital heritage. What's another one? You've recently been writing blog posts about this. So
I have one that I really like because I absolutely love historical documents and books and reading and so on, is the British Library's Endangered Archives program, which has many different, all around the world, they're funding different projects for digitizing and conserving documents that have been damaged or ruined in some way. So they're recreating and digitizing the manuscripts and documents and so on, and it's really interesting to me.
Is there any specific document that you were like, wow, that's awesome? Or is it just so much that it's overwhelming?
It's a lot. Because right now I believe they have 400 projects, last I saw, all around the world. So there's so many that I wouldn't even know which one to pick. I did look at one, I believe it's in India, where they took the kingdom of, I'm hoping I'm going to say this right, Sikkim, and that recently got combined with India And so they're recreating and digitizing their documents that had all kinds of information on them of that kingdom.
Let's see, what would I choose? There's so many to choose from. My own projects, again, things like virtual Shikoku. I've worked with folks at the Museum of Southeast Indian. I feel like there's a word missing there. But on basically creating a reconstruction of that museum during one of the exhibits with the exhibit materials and the physical space. But, whenever we're talking about virtual heritage, you can look at Discovery Channel, or you used to be able to at least, or places like that, and see how these things are being brought about, whether it's using things like laser scanning, both in terms of small things and landscapes, to collect the data, or looking at some of the representation styles, so using virtual reality or multi-monitor setups to look at some of these things that you can't get to physically. That's kind of the key, right? Is that we want to make it so that people can have access to things that are deteriorating, that, if as an archaeologist in the past, we are destroying things as we're doing archaeology. So it is not a non-destructive way of looking at things. So being able to collect that information, scanning information that's coming out of the site, or even, the photogrammetry that's going on while the site's being excavated, allows us to have a deep record of what was there, and sharing that gives other people information. And of course, as we continue to move forward with technologies, that's just going to get better and better. So yeah, lots of different ways that we can look at digital heritage and move that into the virtual space. I don't know, does that kind of summarize a little bit about digital heritage?
I think so.
So the one thing that I think we should probably do is go around the table and say what our quote unquote background is. So I have a PhD in geography, but I'm a person who looks at GIS and landscape archaeology along with other things, but that's kind of my heritage portion of my resume. What is it you hope to do?
What I hope to do, honestly, I'd kill to do something like the British Library's Endangered Archives program. That sounds so cool. I'm not usually, I'm going to be honest, I'm not great with technology. That's what it is. I'm technology illiterate, but I'd kill to do something like that because I'd love to work in the archives, any kind of archives, and help digitize any historical documents. I'd also love to work in provenance research as well. That'd be really cool.
And your degree is going to be in?
Yeah, so my degree is anthropology with a minor in art history.
So you're not doing the cultural heritage certificate?
Oh, I tried.
Not enough time.
By the time I signed up for it, I didn't have enough time to take all the classes for it. I would love to take it, but unfortunately, I just don't have the time.
Yeah. It's kind of new too, isn't it? Only a couple of years old, maybe.
I think so. I didn't really hear about it until last year, and I graduate this May. So it's like, what are you going to do?
Your experience?
Right now, I am about to get my degree in graphic design, and my minor is in religious studies and Asian studies. I have a focus on Asian studies because I love learning Asian language, particularly Japanese and classical Chinese is what I'm focusing on at the moment. And in terms of what I want to do after, I find digitization important, and I think that's something that is going to be in my future, particularly as an example, I've been slowly translating the Tao, which has been translated before, but, why not another one? And I'm excited to see where that will lead me in terms of reading manuscripts and possibly translating those for the first time in English and then having that as a permanent record. That's like a really big goal of mine.
So that just gives you an idea that everybody's coming from a slightly different perspective. So hopefully that'll play in. We'll potentially have others joining us as we go through. And of course, as we get to the official episodes, then we'll be a little more formalized, less sitting around the table type of thing. But I just wanted to have something out there to get us started, because that's always the hardest part, is getting that first episode out. Thanks for joining us for this first episode of Recreatus.